Hey, my name is Ria Waller and I teach CIT82. I laugh because I was just getting my camera ready. 82 is Intro to Web Development, which is the beginning class for the web developer program. So I'm excited you're here. I hope you're excited you're here. And here in this case is actually in my office here at Fresno City College. I'm in BE 113 if you ever need to come by and see me. My Zoom office hours are also corresponding to my regular office hours. So whenever I have an office hour, I have Zoom open. But before we jump in, I just want to tell you, kind of a little bit about this class. So in this class, what we're going to do is we're going to cover HTML, little markup, HTML, little CSS, just a little bit of JavaScript, which is a little bit of programming. We'll also, during this class, every week, and this is a 9-week compressed course. Okay, so and we'll talk about the course setup on Canvas and what each week kind of is made up of. And we'll cover that to give you that experience. So I just want you to know that kind of in general, a compressed course, you're going to learn HTML, CSS, a little JavaScript, you're going to do a project. One of the things you're going to learn in this course, in addition to those topics, the stack we call it, right? The typical web developer front end stack will be actually Bootstrap. And Bootstrap is a library. Now, if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. We'll get there. That will allow you to create websites relatively quickly that are already pretty much designed, CSS, all the things. You just have to fill in the content. But in order to get you there, we have to give you some of those basic skills along the way. So that's what this course, that's 25% of your grade is actually the final project, which is a website, which students typically, and I'll give you some options here of what you want to, what you can select. Typically students, you create a site about themselves, which is great. Or some students, and this is a good idea as well, consider doing a starting of a portfolio site, because one of the things you want to do is have work that you can show possible employers. Okay. All right. So let's just jump in real quick and take a look at the course. I am logged in right now as a student in the course itself. And so, one of the first things you can see about this class is you have to move through it sequentially. So this means the items in week 1 can't be accessed until you complete the items in week 0. Now, week 0 is not really that much work. You're just going to have to, and I'll go over it here in a sec, you'll have to give me a GitHub username and just understand some basic layouts. And then in this case, you have to actually submit. And this is the key. You have to submit this item and you have to view this item, and then these items will start to show up. Okay. But this is the way the course is set up. And in one sense, students, sometimes tell me they get a little frustrated because if they get behind, they have to work through all the content that they're behind on in order to catch up. I say, yeah, that's generally true. And which is good because in that sense, this class builds on itself. So trying to jump in after getting behind, which I hope you don't do, but if you do, is a little harder in a class like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and click into and again, you've already gotten here because in order to get here, in order to watch this video, you had to get here. Okay, so like I said, this is a 9-week class. The timeline you can see. In fact, I love the calendar feature in Canvas, and I definitely recommend checking out the calendar feature. But it's a 9-week class. Every week there'll be 2 due dates a week. I've already talked about this, is that it's set up to be sequential course workflow. All that means is what I said before, is that you have to do the class in sequence, right, in order to get to the next parts. And then, so in the weekly items, and let me just step back here just a second, because even though we can't open them, we can actually see what it is. So even though it's grayed out here, you can see that intro. Like this first one is on Thursday night of that due date. Now this may be different for future semesters, so definitely check your site. Don't look at it against what I'm seeing here because it could possibly change, and it will actually. So you'll have 3 items, and this is pretty typical. You'll have a lecture, a hands-on assignment, and a current topic every week. Okay, and then For this first week, I'll have videos to show you how to do these three. And then, depending on what we're doing thereafter, I will either have an overview video showing you how to do those items, because you can see starting in week two, we actually have for the Monday night, and this is the key, Monday night item and a Thursday night item. Now, if there's a holiday on a Monday, then that'll be moved to Tuesday. If there's a holiday on a Thursday, it'll be moved to Friday. Unless there's also a Friday. Anyway, we won't have to go there because we'll handle that as we get closer. But in general, that's what I want you to know. And here's the also really important thing as well is checking the syllabus. As you can see just from looking at the syllabus here, like your project that I talked about is going to be 25%. You have your current topics is 25%, your hands-on is 25%, and your lectures. And so what you can do here, and I recommend doing this, is coming through here. And these, again, you'll check this because by then it may have changed as far as the office hours go. But you can check, and the holidays too, because I got to update those before I release the course. But really do go through the syllabus and make sure if there's any questions you have. There's no textbooks required for this class, which I am really helpful about. I source all the content out of YouTube, and there's just a lot of good content to be looked at. So let's go back here. Okay, so now that we've talked just briefly about that, to complete this item, here's what you need to do. This course uses a site called GitHub. If you don't know GitHub, you're going to learn it, because everything that builds on this course from this course forward will use it, and having an introduction to it is a good idea. And so what we'll do is we'll start using it just from what's called the web interface. And then eventually we'll move to a local dev environment where you use an editor. I'll typically recommend something called VS Code, and we'll do that. But to start with, the first thing you have to do is actually create an account. You can come down here. If you already have an account, you can use that one, no problem. Don't ever pay for GitHub, even though they'll, try to say, hey, you can get an enterprise. Don't do that. Just sign up, give it, and I'm going to give it a fake email. Don't do that. Give it your actual email just because I already have an account. Okay. So what you want to do, and they'll give you a little content here, and then they'll enter that. Surprised I'm actually now. Oh, look, they actually did catch it. So what if I did? Oh, see, now I'm just hacking around. Let's see if this one's tagged as well. Oh, that's great. So give it your actual email. What's great about GitHub is they're actually checking, and they'll have you do a password. Definitely recommend doing a strong password. If you don't know what that is, search for strong password, and then you'll create a username. So go through all those steps, and then once you get your username, or you can give me the email you use here. That's what you'll provide me. So you will start the assignment. Okay. And what's important about this is the reason you want to do this now is that once you submit this assignment, then I will go invite you into our GitHub organization. Okay. Now, like, here's my username, right? And so, whatever you end up creating for a username, again, you can give me your email if you want, no problem. But typically, GitHub username is a more common thing that you provide. Okay, so once you submit that item, okay, then like I said, what I will do, oh, nice, you get this nice little congratulations and everything. Okay, so once you do that, now I'm going to go back here, because what will happen is as I see students, I'm trying to see if you can see the submitted. I'm looking at Canvas as a student. So what you can see here is you got a check, which is great. It means you did that, and now you can go look at this. And then this is the Discord, which I have a short video to talk about what that is. And then once you do that, it'll open up the next items. So let me just show you what happens, a little preview of what happens when I see you submit this GitHub username. Is I go in, because I have a place on GitHub. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and log in. I'm just going to actually sign in to my GitHub user account. Okay. Because this is, like, here's uh, my username, right? So there's my GitHub. So what you will do though is you will end up once I see you submit, I will invite you into our GitHub organization, which is like you have your own private GitHub, and then here you have a organization, in this case our class, that has its GitHub, and then you'll learn about repos and we'll do all that, but I'll invite you into this organization. So that's why it's really important the sooner you do this, because here's what will happen is if you're trying to submit work here on January, as just an example, that date, but you waited until late to actually go through this part, then because I have to do a step, might be a delay, and I don't want that to happen to you. So, sooner you do this, get started, the better. Okay. So I hope that's a good introduction to this course. Again, I'm glad you're here, and I look forward to connecting with you all through this semester. And let's get started. All right. Have a good one.